Welcome to Timelines. Today we have Liz O'Donnell on coming to us from Boston. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And she is a writer, a blogger, and she's in the media. So we can talk just about anything today. But I think the direction I want to go is we always want to talk about something that will really grab the listener's attention. But you grabbed my attention on the pre-workup. And you talked about it's a new book, I say, The Balancing Act of the Modern Woman. And also not so much that, but Working Daughters. Was it Working Daughters? What was the name of the other book? Is it the new one?
Well, the book is in progress, probably be called Working Daughter, but I have a blog called Working Daughter.
Working Daughter. And that's interesting to me because my mom is older. She's 91. And my sister really takes the burden of taking care of it. I've got a brother too. And we all try to share, but my sister really ends up with the responsibilities. And what I've read is if you have a daughter, you have much less chance of going into a senior home.
Yeah, the split is actually, the gender split on caregiving is 60-40, so it's not that dramatic. But I think the default or the assumption is that it's the daughter all the time.
Right. That's what I was reading, though. It's like you said, 60%, but it helps, I guess. When you want to keep your parents, at least I do, or we do, out of any, not around family. And my mom is still pretty good shape. My uncle is also very good shape. He's like 96 and still.
Wow, you have good genes, huh?
He lives on his own. He's in Arizona, and he was at Guadalcanal. But his daughter lives fairly close, and he lives on a golf course. So we're a very close family. It's the Conrad side, and my mom, of course. We're just very close all the way across.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are some of the issues? What grabs the listener's attention about the challenges when you get older and having to take care of a parent and still have a job or a career?
Yeah, well, so many. I mean, I think, so I wrote a book about working mothers, the one you mentioned, Mogul Mom and Maid, The Balancing Act of the Modern Woman. And as I was out promoting that book, my parents started to need more and more care. And it dawned on me after this one really crazy, ridiculous long day where I took my mom to the doctor and all kinds of things happened. And I ended the night as the keynote at this event for young mothers. And I'm standing up there in front of these young mothers talking to them about, the challenges they face and how to manage them. And inside I'm thinking, you have no idea after the day I had been through with my parents and everything I had to go through just to make that work. And I realized no one was really talking about this issue. And I think the difference between a working mother and a working daughter, not that it's a competition, is that elder care is so unpredictable. When you're a mother, at some point, in your pregnancy, you have a sense of when you're going to deliver that baby, right? And you can create some kind of plan for child care and maternity leave. It may not be the plan that you stick to, but you can at least plan for it. Elder care is a complete surprise. You just never know when it might disrupt your career.
That makes so much sense. I can see that. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I think about how much it takes just for his family, and then you've got your parents and all that, just to get appointments, all the things that we have to do to keep things straight. It seems like with modern technology, there's less time.
There is. And, with modern technology, it doesn't seem like it has. I mean, I know we've had incredible advances in medicine, and that's part of the issue too, right? Is people live so much longer. But when it comes to the admin side of healthcare, I take my dad to the doctor, feels like all the time. He'll be 90 this weekend. We're having a party. And every time I take him to the doctor, they want me to produce his insurance card again. And I say to them, he didn't get a new job since he was here 2 weeks ago. Like, his insurance hasn't changed, but they have to key it in every time. It's crazy.
That is crazy. With fingerprint recognition and all that, you think you just do that, but they're not doing that. Actually, that's one of the things that we do a little bit, what we're looking at is developing systems that streamline the ability to do paperwork for people when they go to the doctor. So they type it in before they get in, and you just walk in, and and you don't have to fill out paperwork.
Yeah, the doctor's appointments are killer. I mean, doctors don't run on time. Elderly people don't move quickly. In general, I'm generalizing.
Right.
It takes a lot of time, and that one of the things that women who are caregivers will say. I'm at the doctor all the time between my kids and my parents. But, I haven't had my checkup in years.
So you're from Boston area. Is your family up in Boston, your mom and dad?
Well, my mom passed 2 years ago, or 18 months ago. Thank you. And my dad, I have my dad in assisted living. He's about 1.5 miles down the road from me.
Oh, that's close. He's close. That's good. And Boston has some very good hospitals and systems and processes.
It's a great place to grow old for that reason. Yeah. Yeah.
Very known for that. And my mom is like on the West Coast in a very nice place, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, and Hospital. It's one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I
just,
mean, these are things you don't think about either, right? You don't think about, my parents had moved to Cape Cod, so they're about an hour and a half away. And then they both got sick at the same time. And so I ended up moving them closer to me. And that becomes an issue too. At some point you're trying to decide, am I doing this because it's what I need or what they need? And you have to balance that.
no, they need to be close. It's if they're not mobile, people need to be close. So that's one of the challenges. So how do you continue on making a, what's a good implement? How do you implement, break? I might edit this.
Good. I need to, huh?
So how do you create a bit? What type of businesses do you work on? You blog, you actually do posts, and you're starting a podcast, I understand.
Yeah, well, so I work for a PR and marketing firm, and I've worked in PR for a gazillion years, 20 something years. And throughout my career, I've always tried to get out of it. I quit to become an interior designer. I quit to work in the building construction industry, but it always sucks me back in. And but every time I've left, it's interesting. My resume looks kind of nutty, but all of those experiences actually make you more creative, allow you to, do your job better because you have so many different references to pull from. And so at one point when I quit because I remembered that what I always wanted to be was a writer, and I had turned 40, and, if not now, then when? Of course, it was fall of 2008, so that probably wouldn't have been probably wasn't the best time to go out on my own, but I did, and I did okay for a couple of years. And I started writing, and I started a blog, and then eventually I decided to go back into public relations to an agency. But at that time, the PR industry had changed so much that it was more and more about digital influencers and creating your own content. So it's been really nice that what I love to do and what I get paid well to do have actually merged. And so because I'm part of the blogger community, because I'm part of the podcasting community, I can bring that as an asset to clients. So it's been nice to see those two things merge. They don't always merge, I don't think.
And I think media is going that direction. It's a new type of streaming online media. We're on YouTube, and we're going to be in a podcast, and this will be live when we're done. Actually, it's live now if someone wanted the link. So it's definitely changing the world. Before we go on to the second part, the break, how do you think media has changed? What are the biggest changes since you've had many years in it?
Well, I think a few things. One is, there are fewer intermediaries, right? You and I can just do this. You can put it up, you can put that link out there and people can access it, right? You don't have to go through a sort of gatekeeper or third party. And that's good and bad, right? You have a political background. I think I think having, the earned media and, trusted, non-biased media is really important to the political process and our freedoms and all of that. But at the same time, there's a real freedom in the fact that we can all be content producers and put things out there. And that's been really, I think, really exciting. It makes my job more difficult because, there are fewer reporters to pitch. And now it's about helping our clients create content. And then the other thing I would say, and now I've lost my train of thought, is that there are fewer really excellent journalists, right? So many of them lost their jobs after 9/11 in 2008 that, I miss that. I miss the days when I was working with really smart, really principled journalists all the time.
In high school, my senior year, I was an intern at LA Times.
Okay.
My great-grandfather actually worked for the LA Times as a photographer.
I used to be a fan. I say used to be. I'm not saying it isn't now, but I just haven't read it in a while. But they used to be a great newspaper.
But I've tracked my friends, the people I know who went into journalism. I know a lot of people in journalism. I know the troubles they've had to go through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really downsized tremendously. Many small papers are gone.
Yeah. Yet the local news has really suffered. Yeah. That's a downside.
Yes and no. What I'm seeing popping up in some areas, not so much where I am in Reno, but down south in Costa Mesa, there's micro TV or netcasts where it's news and they go out and do the news, and at 5 o'clock they put it live for recording in different places.
Oh, okay.
So we're starting to see some new type of inexpensive news, and then they get marketing from local vendors. That's what we're seeing start to pop up in cities. Not here, not out in Reno, but with a higher density population.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting.
And there's a lot of people to draw from if you think if you have someone out there selling marketing.
Right, right. Yeah, the local dollar is really
and you do the
really
same
vibrant.
Thing. The email address, and they send that out. They build so it's on demand and put it on your phone. CBS, NBC, all those, you can watch them now pretty much on demand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the changes I see that have definitely affected. But you've mentioned something, fewer reporters. I never thought about that. There truly are fewer reporters.
Yeah, yeah, and they're so busy. I mean, you know, you don't see as much long form journalism. They're
Mhm.
equally busy writing and reporting as they are promoting and on social, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
We get the newspaper a couple times. We get it like on Sunday and then today, but we read it online too. The online version is excellent the way it works.
yeah, yeah. I've
It's
even
all
started on my blog. You know, I started writing headlines for Google. And, you know, I still try to write content that I think is meaningful and that you know, I appreciate, and hopefully my readers do. But my headlines are, you know, 6 things, 5 tips, 4 ways. You know, because if you don't write so, you know, if people don't read it, then what's the point of writing it?
it's called good copyright.
I
So
guess.
that said, do you use any tools to write like Grammarly or what is it, Grammarly? There's another one too. What is it?
I don't know. I don't.
I use Grammarly. I started using Grammarly. It sort of helps.
I check out, you know, anytime I have a question, I go to Grammar Girl, right? And
Oh, Grammar. She lives here in Reno.
yeah, she's a podcaster too, right?
Yeah, I know her. I've seen her a few times, and
Big fan. I'm a
oh,
big fan.
yeah, she's good. She's really good. She's so Hemingway's the other one. Hemingway app. So we can talk about Hemingway app. That's a freebie, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hemingway app, and it's kind of fun. It's easy. Sort of helps you write a little bit. Helps you blog.
Huh. I'll have to check it out.
So that said, let's go to a break, and we'll come back after the break, and we'll go into your timelines and your success principles.
Okay.
Okay, we're on break right now. It's too bad I didn't. You know what? I'm going to keep the break going for a few minutes. Let me put up your. I've got your website here. Oh, here it is. Let me share your website so people can watch it. This is a good reason for them to come to the YouTube. So I'm going to share this. You can see. Oops, I shared the wrong one.
Oh, thanks.
Let me go back into share.
I didn't have my hair dyed, Bill.
Oh, look, it's nice. Right in between my sisters and my wives. My wife is about 3/4 Irish. Her grandparents were both from Ireland.
Oh, nice.
She's got a quarter English, I think. So she's got that red hair and the colors. My son looks a lot like my wife. So there's your website.
Excellent. Yeah, with all my Google optimized headlines.
6 tips for vacationing with elderly parents. Is let's see. Free download checklist for those are definitely good copyrights.
Thanks. Thanks.
Father's Day, that's nice. That's coming up.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I've had some good Father's Days. So that is nice. So how often do you put out a
I average about 3 times a week. It's, you know, I might do 2 in a night and then nothing, you know, 2 Sunday night and nothing again till Thursday or Friday, or I might do, you know, consistent Sunday through Wednesday, but usually about Thursday I drop off.
so there's your book.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and present to everyone. So that is your book. I was looking at your book.
Oh, good.
How has
Thank
that
you.
been to write that book?
It was great. I mean, you know how you were born to do something. I always knew I had a book in me. It's interesting though. I think as I love writing, and then on the other hand, I say it's absolute torture. Right? It's sort of like exercising. It's torture while you're doing it, and then you feel so great to have done it. At least that's how it is for me.
And you have a narrative on here too.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the best part about the book for me was I interviewed 100 women, and the interviewing process is what I love the best. Connecting with these women and telling their stories so that other women don't feel alone. You know, and the book is really about how hard it can be to balance home and career. No great news there, right? But I think oftentimes we try to brush over, and we're told we have to be superwoman. So to hear these women's stories that, you know, it's not always easy, they don't always love it, and a lot of them were saying, you know, they're kind of over the idea of the corner office. They're really looking for a meaningful life in both areas of their life, and if that means that they're not going to be CEO someday, then they're fine with it.
Well, I do believe that. Let me stop this. I do believe that I think things are changing where you can be a CEO and still have 2 lives too because of the online media, and there's a lot of young people, even well, not about 40 and younger, we're doing real well online building businesses and different kinds of companies.
That's true too. And the other thing is, millennial men are making a big difference. You know, millennial men are starting to say much more vocally, and again, these are generalizations, but then maybe, you know, men of Gen X or boomers, especially, that I want to be a hands-on parent.
Right.
I don't want to just provide and then die. I want to be part of my family. And so they're changing things for women too, right? For the better, because as they take on more, then things equalize a bit.
My real work has been overseas since 9/11 quite a bit. And I turned down going overseas to stay with my girls. I mean, that's what I really do.
Yeah,
So I
that's
can relate to that.
fantastic.
It's
Yep.
good to be, especially when they're in high school. It's years go so fast.
I know. I'm acutely aware. I've got my son's home for 5 more years. Actually, 4 now. And I'm not going out till he leaves.
He starts high school next
Yeah, it
cycle.
starts high school in the fall. Yeah.
Oh, it goes so fast.
Yeah.
So let's take a break and we'll come back to your life and success principles. Let me pull those up. I just had those. I'm usually better organized than this, so I apologize,
Well, it was
Liz.
probably me at the last minute.
I'm happy you're here, though. Did just accidentally your email bounce back or early one?
Yeah, I don't know what was happening. And then, I saw your email and I knew we were on, and then you weren't on the calendar. But anyway, we're here.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was booked a long time ago.
It was booked a long time ago. And then we had a false start once too. I think you called, but we had moved them. I don't know.
Okay, I now remember. That's why I
We
knew.
were meant to be.
Your background.
Yeah.
Okay. Why you're not okay? That's Murphy's Law. I think. See, you're starting the old one, and we have a new one now. This is really bad. Like I'm blabbing. I'm blabbing on YouTube. So this isn't. I usually don't edit this. I just had your son. Okay, here we go, folks. You get to see how we make the podcast. Podcast doesn't sound anything like the YouTube. It's a lot of work. A lot of fun work, though. Okay, Liz, let me see. By the way, what part of Boston you live?
I am in Dedham, which is just outside the city. So 11 miles southwest of downtown, but actually, border. Well, you know how Boston has neighborhoods versus boroughs, right? So I border one of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. My father-in-law was from Milton. Milton.
Oh, okay.
A little
So
further
that's
south.
just 2
Further
towns
south.
over.
Yeah, Milton. So very nice town.
A little bit more south, yeah, but very close.
Kennedys are pretty close. Actually, my wife's mom's family knew the the Kennedy.
Oh, Rose Kennedy. The
Rose Kennedy family. Yeah.
What was her maiden name?
I think they
Fitzgerald.
have their picture around the table we have here.
Right? Was she Fitzgerald?
Fitzgerald. Yeah.
I should know this, right? I shouldn't question it.
Couldn't remember Fitzgerald's. How could I forget that? So let me. I got this open now. And here we go. So a couple seconds of silence. Well, Liz, welcome back from the break. For those who really want to go watch, they can watch. We put up your websites and a couple other things. Go into timelinesnetcast.com or timelinesofsuccess.com. And you can watch the YouTube at the bottom of the post. So Liz, let's go to your success life principles. And you have, first of all, define your own success.
Well, so I go out, because of the book, I go out and speak to women all the time, and especially working mothers who are being delivered this message that we are superwoman or we should be superwoman, and, having it all, not having it all, that whole debate. And I think the most important thing is that, we all figure out what success means to us. It's sort of obvious, but not so easy to practice, right? What you consider to be success is probably going to look completely different than what I do.
Well, I noticed what I consider to be success now is different than it was 20 years ago.
Well, there's that too, right? Yeah, and the definition changes all the time, right? Before my parents were sick, I might have said one thing. When my parents were sick, it was it was just to get through the day, and after the sickness, then it's something different. But depending on what's happening in your life, it continually changes.
For me, my success is getting my youngest daughter through college.
That's a big success. That would be big.
And my middle daughter wants to go to med school, and they both have the grades. So it's going to be a lot of work here. It's going to be a lot of work. And so next is identify your negotiables and say yes to them. Is that what I say that right?
That's what it says. Yeah. So one of the things that I done for myself, and I talk to women about all the time when I'm out, is the way that you can get to defining your success, at least for me, is to really think about what matters most to you versus what matters most to somebody else. I tell women that I think the worst word in their vocabulary that I would love them all to eliminate is the word should, because oftentimes, our heads are full of shoulds. I say women are shoulding all over themselves. You can edit that out if it's too, but you're like, I should be a good mother and a good wife and a good daughter and a good employee and all these things. And so it's hard to figure out what your definition of success is if you've got all these shoulds in your head. So if you can tell the shoulds basically to take a walk and really think about what you want, and then boil it down to what's possible now. So I have a list of what I call non-negotiables. It's always changing depending on what's happening in my life. But for example, it's finding time to write, finding time, to exercise enough basically to maintain my sanity, spending at least 3 nights at home with the kids, and, doing a good job at the day job, as I like to call it. Those are my non-negotiables.
That's a busy day. That's a lot of work.
It's still a pretty busy day, right? But I don't necessarily pack it into a day. I pack it into a week. If I can make all of those things happen in a week, then that's success to me. That's a pretty good life.
1 week at a time.
Yeah. And so because I know that I want time to write, I'm going to say yes to that writing time, which means I might say no to, mom's night out or a volunteer opportunity, that sort of thing.
Very good. So you have 3 leadership principles. Lead by example. What's that mean to you?
Well, I just think it's so important for people to walk the walk and talk the talk, especially if they're going to get people to follow them.
Very good. Maintain your integrity.
Again, I think, I learned early on when I did something that I wasn't quite proud of early in my career, and it was probably so innocuous, but at the time I really felt slimy when I got home at night. I think maybe a boss asked me to lie to a client or something, and I did. And I remember going home and I just felt icky, for lack of a better word. And so it was a good lesson early on that at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that you can look in the mirror at yourself and know that you haven't compromised yourself. And I think people know that about you as a leader.
That's very good. And then weakness is strength. That's very unique. Weakness is strength.
Well, that's the other thing I find that I really admire in a leader is someone who is authentic and human. And I think sometimes our weaknesses can be the most powerful things because they're what allow people to connect with us.
That's very good. That's very good. And then,
it could also be a coping mechanism because I'm so far from perfect. I had to spin these into.
Yeah, and I know we've talked a little bit early on. You've done a lot of different things in your career, and you stayed with journalism and actually media and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But you've done some interior designing and some other work, and you've written the books. That's a lot of work. Those things. I mean, I haven't written a book. That's I think on my bucket list. I need to. I can imagine. I heard it's a lonely thing to do.
Yeah, well, I'm highly introverted, so I actually really enjoyed it, and that was a big learning experience too, right? That being a writer is so different than being an author. An author is a very public, extroverted role. So.
Well, you're on a podcast and we're on a video vlog too. That's been video, so that's not too introverted.
Well, I found out, which I didn't, I did not know this going in, that I actually love public speaking. I love these kinds of connections when I get to have conversations. What's key for me is that afterwards, I need my alone time. So when you and I disconnect, I'm going to sit here for a little while before I go back downstairs and engage.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I have to run off and get some gas, I think.
That's important too.
Next thing, the 31st is my busy day. The first we sort of relax and it gets better. So, and the other thing too, folks, as we go to our final break here and we finish up, I'll tell you after the break something that's going on right now that even I didn't know if I was going to be able to make this interview.
I'm intrigued.
Okay. Hey, the break, by the way, I had my very first crown ever today and I forgot my mouth was like, earlier today. I'm surprised I can even talk right now. So
yeah, Novocaine is a funny thing. I mean, I'm grateful for it, but it takes a long time to wear off.
At least I didn't bite myself. I cracked a tooth back here, and I guess I could have gone for a while without doing anything, but I'm knocked out today.
Might as well get it done.
Okay, Liz, let's finish. Okay, Liz, coming off the break, we wanted to know how can the listener get a hold of us and give us a short commercial. What can the listener do for you?
What can a listener do for me?
Yeah, how can they help you?
Oh, I love that. Again, back to this authentic connection. If you are, a caregiver, I'd love to hear your experience. If you are thinking through your content strategy, I'd love to brainstorm with you. It's become all about connection for me lately. And the best way to find me is my umbrella site, which is liz-o'donnell.com.
And we'll have that up on show notes at timelinesofsuccess.com. Plus, at the very end of this, YouTube will flip it up for a couple of seconds and put your site up. I just put that up right now. And then finally, one last question. Being an in the Boston area. There's some great food back there. I enjoyed being back there from time to time. By the way, I worked at the Democrat convention as a military liaison in 2004.
Oh,
I
okay.
got, I got to stay downtown for a month. It was fun on the
So
Charles River.
my cousin was that was Carrie, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Carrie
He
was.
was the stage manager. I don't think is the right word. Sounds too theatrical, but he was the stage manager, for lack of a better word, at that
Coordinator.
convention. Yeah.
I probably met him.
And
Different people.
his father was the same for the convention in Boston for John F. Kennedy. So it was a nice little
Well, it was a
connection.
blast. I got to stay right across the Charles at the Marriott extended stay, wherever it was, on the other side of the Charles River, and it was the nice 30 days.
I bet, yeah.
Very interesting time. We did security. As Homeland Security was very big then, and I was military liaison, and it was just an interesting time.
Very cool.
So, Liz, that said, the one last question is the food. Where's the best place to eat?
Well, I'm probably the worst person to ask that question because even though I'm born and bred, spent every summer on Cape Cod, I don't like seafood.
Oh,
I know.
we do a lot of seafood.
And that's pretty much what Boston restaurants are known for. But there is this gem of a restaurant in Boston. You may not appreciate it, but it's called Durgan Park. Do you know Durgan Park?
I've heard the name. My wife would probably know.
Okay, so it's near Faneuil Hall.
Okay.
It's a real tourist area. And it serves like big prime ribs and real comfort food, unsophisticated, original kind of Boston fare, right? Where from the Irish influence, when they just boil the taste out of everything.
Yeah, prime rib is very Boston.
Yeah, it is very Boston. And the waitresses are cranky. They're rude. So if you really kind of want to get that, Boston's changed quite a bit, right? It's become more and more, there are more and more students coming in from all over the world, and the doctors, there's a real diverse influence. But if you kind of want to get that old Yankee, cranky Boston feel, it's a great restaurant.
That's very good. I lived out 2A for 2 years at Fort Devens, and I got real Boston, Massachusetts relationship. And I married one, too. I brought one back with me.
Got to spread it out. Bring it across the country.
Drug her out of Boston. So we said when we retire, we'll go up to New Hampshire, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Have a great day. And it's late back there. So thanks for making it on a short notice. It was a lot of fun, and we'll have this up soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.